Alright, so just a little demonstration on an example of how a loop and array lists are very helpful. Array lists are arrays, but they can hold more than just, a certain number of items within it. Picture like a row of dominoes, and each one of those dominoes is an object. You can get the domino at position 1, position 2, position 10, and you can do the same thing with an array list. So let's look. First thing that we're going to look at is the person class that we've created. Each person has a name and an age, and we have generated some getters and setters is what they're called. So we can set the name for the objects created by this class. We can get the name of the current object whenever we create it. Same thing for the age, getters and setters. And then we have a method called printMyInfo, which prints the name of the object is age, years old. So, pretty basic little class. The helper class is going to be where all of the main functions are. We're going to create objects out of the person in this class. So you can see that, just like right here, this isn't part of this class, I just got this for this little example. Int I equals 0, int is the type, I is the variable name, 0 is the value, type, name, value, type, name. So we got a variable named person that is of type person. Same thing here. The type is an array list specific to a person, because you can have many different types of array lists. You can have string array lists, integer array lists, and very complex array lists. But this one is an array list of our custom object, our custom class person, and we have named it people. And this is the line of dominoes, right? Each time you add a person to this people array list, it's like adding dominoes on the table. And the reason I say dominoes, you can say, okay, the array list is like a big bag, and every time you make a person, you throw it in the bag, and you just got a collection of persons called, and that collections is called people, right? But I say dominoes because dominoes are linear, and that's how array lists are organized. So you got person 0, person 1, person 2, person 3, and because of that, you can grab each one individually. So if I got this big array list of persons, I can grab the 10th one if I want to, the 20th one if I want to. And if I wanted to remove the 20th one, that's okay, because array lists are resizable. That is their big feature that makes them so great, among other things, but they're resizable. Whereas a regular array, you will have to declare how many people are in it. You can't make an array of type person 10 and then later on say I want this array to be 12. Maybe you can, but get used to using array list because it's the heat. I use it all the time. Okay, so the type is an array list specific to person. The variable name is people, and the value is a new array list. So we can add into the people. Okay, so what we're going to do with this helper class is make an instance of it, and then we're going to call a method called makeJoes, which has got a for loop in it. So what we have is int I is equal to 0, I is less than 20, I plus plus. That means we're going to execute everything in here 20 times. We're going to do it just like this. That's 1, it's going to go back up top. I is going to equal 1, go up top. You know what I'm saying? It's going to keep counting down. So each time it's going to make this person right here that we've declared earlier, it's going to make it a new person. Give it a different value of a new person. And then that person, we're going to call it setName method. We're going to call him Joe plus I. So the first time is going to be Joe 0, Joe 1, Joe 2, Joe 3, and so on. Same thing for the age. Joe 0 is 20, Joe 1 is 21. And then we're going to call printMyInfo. And that printMyInfo we'll say, okay, Joe 0 is 20 years old. And it will do that each time it iterates through it. And then, as we do that, we're going to add that person to our array list of people. There's many methods on with the array list, but one very important one is the add and get. So you can just keep adding objects to the array list. So we're going to create and populate the people array list with a bunch of Joes. So in order to do that, we're going to, inside of our main method, create a new instance of the helper where the makeJoes method is and call it. And there we go. So let's hit play, and as it makes them, it should print them down here on the bottom. See? That's what loops can do for you. They can create a lot of different objects for you real quick if you need to, or you can handle data with them. So for example, watch this. We're going to public void find the 27-year-old Joe. And we're going to say, we're going to loop through everybody in our array list, like the row of dominoes. We're going to look at each one of those dominoes, and we're going to find the one that says 27 years old. And whenever we find that one that says 27 years old, we're going to look at the name associated with it. So, watch this. Int size equals people.size. And basically, the ArrayList.size returns to you how many objects are in it, how many dominoes are on the table. So, for ints I equals 0, I less than size I plus plus. The way we set this up is we're making sure we're only iterating through the number of people or persons in this people array list. And that's important because if you try to do I less than 100 and we're trying to extract dominoes off the table, like if we only got 20 dominoes and we're saying, computer, grab the 100th domino, the computer's going to say, what the crap, there's no 100, and it's going to throw an error. So if you set it up like this and you get the size of the array list and you put it in the for loop, it loops through the array list properly, and you won't get that array out of index error. So now that we have done this, what we're going to do is, how do we look at each domino, or in this case, people? So we're going to do people.get, and you feed it an index, and we're just going to say I because we're starting at 0. We're going to grab the first domino in the sense, but just remember Java, the indexes start with 0. So people.get I is what we're going to do. String name equals people.getI.getName. And the flow of events here is we're going to grab the first domino and we're going to get the name off that first domino, and we're going to assign it into this name variable. You could even do this if you want to, if it makes it easier to understand. We're going to say temp person equals this might make a little bit more sense. So the person that we're going to grab each iteration through this loop is done by taking our array list of people and grabbing the first one. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to say string name equals temp person.getName, and we're going to say if name dot equals. I'm sorry. Find the 27-year-old. Int age equals temp person dot get age. Sorry about that. So let's start over right here with this, because we're trying to find the name of the 27-year-old Joe. So our age is going to be temp person dot get age if age is equal to 27. Execute this code, and we're going to say system dot out dot print, and we're going to do temp person dot get name. But before that, let's do the 27-year-old is named. Find the 27-year-old is the name of the method. So after we make the Joes, we're going to say helper dot find the 27-year-old. And let's see if we can't have it display to us the name. The 27-year-old name is named Joe 7. Let's go up there and double check it. Yeah, 27-year-old Joe 7, that's him. So this is just a very basic example of taking, just a custom person class as a simple example. Of course, you can make your own classes like this and give them many different variables. Maybe you're doing an account class and you got a name, an address, stuff like that, balance, whatever. Set up some getters and setters for each of them variables. You can create new Joes. Like, watch this. Let's just create 2,000 different Joes. Watch how fast this happens. You can create 2,000 different Joes this quick. This is why loops are so powerful. Bang! 2,000 different Joes. Okay. So let's see how this is real time. For Android, for example, I have an app that shows perfect use of this. I'm going to start up my program so you can view it live, to show you, give you a real life example of how loops and array lists are so useful. While that's loading up, I'm going to get my logcat up. And so I have set up different logs throughout the app, of course, to keep me informed on certain things. But that's what we're going to look at. Info, because that log.i means info, and what we're going to search for is my name. Call out. Okay. What's going on with this, Joker? Okay. Here we go with this. It's probably going to throw an ad up at first. That's okay. But the app I got is called JotMe. I'm going to show you this. Okay, so you see this list that I have right here? What I have done is I have set up some code in my app that whenever I hit the menu button and I select menu, I got some checkboxes popping up. And whenever you hit these checkboxes, I want you to watch right here. It's going to tell me the position of each one. Position 1, checkbox stay true. And so that's what I do. I make an array list of the positions, because whenever I get the positions, I can iterate through them. And then I can, if I want to delete note 1, U demand, now I got to keep U demand. And this already fixed that top one. I don't know. Client's info login. Okay, I'm gonna delete that. Okay, and plates. So as you can see, all these ones right here labeled true, position 1, 7, 0, 1, 5. What's gonna happen when I hit this button at the top, delete all, it's going to delete them all. Now they're gone. And what's happened right there is big delete is called it's the method that I call to do that. So final int size db cursor adapter.get array list. I made a static array list method. I'm sorry. I made a array list in my cursor adapter, and with it I call it. So I do a size, I get the size of all the ones that are checked, and I iterate through each of them. So when I iterate through each of them, I get the position of each one, and I do stuff with it, right? And that's how real life examples work with it. All right.